Hey, what's up, my frequent flyers? This is Dr. Darren and president of the PHAST Foundation. Hey, this is week 4/5. So we got a ton done.
We removed a huge fire door. We moved stuff. Started to knock out one of 6 walls and doorways. We took some measurements. We painted. We took more measurements. We stepped it off. We designed stuff. We destroyed stuff. Then some more stuff. We painted more stuff. They destroyed stuff. We marked out all the electrical. We designed shirts. We designed a Brickyard. We got to appreciate it. Even rode down a janky ramp.
If you hadn't had a chance to subscribe, consider it. And as always, remember, kindness is currency.
One of the first things we needed to do is gain access to this doorway that we were going to widen for the main entrance. And that required moving this huge red fire door. We needed to move this door because this is going to be the main causeway in and out of the guest riders. And it's just a little bit too narrow. Now, as they were working on the first door, I started to move a wood to allow them to have access to the doorway number 2 and doorway number 3. Now, a very surprising logistical problem that I'm coming into is where do I keep all this 54,000 square foot of lumber? But we're learning. We're figuring out great ways to separate it and get it off to the side. Now, the boys are doing a great job here and almost complete this entryway. Now, while they're finishing that up, I moved on to the second doorway, given their mark and their measurements. X marks the spot. Now, this was a really hard decision for me to hire somebody to do something. But what it came down to is safety. I wanted it done right so there wasn't any questions on how these doors were built or secured. And they did a bang up job. What you can't see here, and you'll see later in videos, is that this edge of the brick that it's exposed will be covered up. And the top of the doorway will have 2 pieces of angle iron preventing any collapse of the doorway. So assuring a safe entryway. Now I just love showing this. This is the eye candy room. Now, as they were finishing doorway number 2, I reviewed the green track based on our designs and schematics and started to take measurements and location of doorway number 3, which will go up a ramp right here into that doorway. Needed to remove the last remaining amounts of wood so they had a clear workspace. On to doorway 3 and 4.
Okay, so it's cleared this spot. Now, we got to take measurements, step it off to figure out where we're going to cut into the 3rd level access going in and out. So that's going to be kind of tricky, but we're going to do the very precise, laser focused measurement tool of pacing it off.
Now, I'd already paced off the columns in the adjacent building, and using these columns as reference points, I had a good idea where we were. And as you can tell by my initial reaction, I wasn't too happy. But that's how it goes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Part of the process.
So, paced off 6 to 7 is where I need it on the others in the other building, but that puts us right here. And as you can tell, I am above the roof. Next door, let's see if we can see a little. These windows haven't been open in probably a couple generations. All right, let's see what we see. We're gonna use the very efficient ladder system. Hopefully we don't fall. Yeah, see, we're still on the roof, so I'm gonna have to go farther that way. Could be a problem. I think it just saved us some money. Now, because we had those restrictions down there with the height being the building, I'm thinking that we can have this be an entrance from the loading dock area. Green track goes all the way around, comes through the side of this elevator, and then we just use that same hole as the exit. Then that allows us to only cut one more hole, reducing cost, and yes, I think that's gonna work. Yeah.
Now, I'd already stepped this off in general, but I needed this to be a little more accurate, so I needed to take actual measurements. On one side, I had an air vent and a bathroom stall that would be used for the apartments that I needed to make sure that we didn't cut into. And on the other end, I had elevator shaft that I needed to avoid. Now, until this wall is knocked out and there is a way to go in and out where we're gonna knock this out, it's a lot of up and down stairs, walking over. So here, kind of getting a general feel that the floor height is about the same height between the 2 buildings. So we started our measurement and began to make the marks for the big hole, which is going to be an in and out, a two-way access doorway. Once we had our measurement, we were able to tag the wall and give some lines for the contractors to base their cuts off of. Now, every time I did this, I felt like those guys in Fern Gully when they were walking through the rainforest and marking the trees, because this brick is just so beautiful. So every once in a while I decide to have fun. Now, just when you think you got things figured out and you got the plan all squared up, calculations are made, and you think you're all set and the plan is going to work great, you notice something. You notice that the mark that you previously made was off. So here I am trying to follow the line, and I walk this over, and I'm discovering that the floor levels are pretty significantly different, because I was using as a reference point something that looked like it went through the wall at a flat level, but in fact it didn't. Now, this was not a doomsday scenario. It just required some recalculation and some reimaginative thinking of how we're going to make this work. I'm pretty solidly committed that this still needs to be our exit and entrance coming from the loading dock area. But now I realize that in order to have room and to not have too aggressive of a pitch coming up or down between the two buildings, I'm going to have to go under these rafters, having one way go in and out. So the first thing I need to determine is really how thick the floor is. And so here's me doing my best ostrich impersonation, and then climbing the World War II bunkers, taking some measurements and trying to figure out basically what we can get away with and what we're going to have to come up with. Need to determine the gap between each of these concrete joists that are the ceiling of this second floor, and then also the floor of the above third floor. So my dang tape kept on going bent on me. But we eventually figured it out. We got the measurements we needed, and then we started to design our plan once we had all the things we needed in the information period. One of the things that I've loved about this project and this building is all the corkscrews and curveballs and sliders and change-ups that it's throwing at me. But I definitely am a believer in the mantra that challenges are just opportunities in work clothes. So we figured it out, we designed it, came up with the solution that I think is going to be pretty sweet, and then we got back to demo day! And that's going to do it for today. Now, in the ER world, there's something that's called a pucker point. It's when something walks into the ER that makes your backside pucker up past comfort. I would have to say the accumulative electrical work in a 140-year-old building is quite the pucker point. But we started to track everything down. Got a hold of an electrician that's going to come up with a plan with us to develop lighting and heating. This is an old fuse box, which is so cool. It actually has like a Doc Brown Back to the Future thing. And you can see you got the big elevator, the outside lights, a small elevator, drill press, small machine, big machine, everywhere. I love that. Anyways, so what we do is we edited a photo, we tracked all the lines of all the different live versus dead wires. I just used this color pen to kind of send it to the electrician so that we could map out. The reason being, because of the floor difference, we have to raise the height of the doorway and cut out these live wires. Speaking of another learning curve is setting up an e-commerce site. We've always loved to design shirts. This will give our supporters opportunities to purchase clothing and gear that has the Fast Tracks logos and sayings on them. Now, one of the things I'm super excited about, there's an area in the south end of the building that has been a really difficult area to design. It has some limitations of overall size and head clearance, but all this wall destruction and all the leftover brick has inspired me. We're going to use the entire space to feature the bricks that we took from the wall. It's going to be called the Brickyard, and the entire area is going to be built from the lumber from that floor to frame out and build tabletops, small berms and kickers that we will eventually top with and grout with all the brick we've used from the walls. And as you can see from hole number 3, we got a lot of bricks. Now here's the access on the uneven floors that we were showing earlier. Can you see the vision now? In and out. It's gonna be epic. I'm so excited. Now you can see there's a floor differential, but we will actually cut in between those cement joists that we saw on the underbelly earlier. Now my finger is pointing to where the raised elevated trail will come. Rider will go in, go up and around the street section, back down, and right along this little path to the flight deck. Now check how good they did on hole number 4. This is the entryway from the main floor into the Brickyard. They did such a good job. Now the only way to truly appreciate this hole is to throw up a board and ride down it.
It was a huge week because this week we connected the 2 buildings, which allows us to have continuous riding throughout the whole building, which is so awesome. So that was week 4/5. I really appreciate you watching these. If there's any way that you are motivated or inspired to support, whether it's come down on a demo day, or if you want to become a sponsor through your business or a personal donation, please get in touch with us. This is only made possible because of you guys. Built by Quincy, for Quincy, on to week 6. I don't know if it'll be a /7. Who knows? Let's do it. Noggins. This is